Welcome to Drive the Daf. Clear, structured explanation of the daily Daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Beitzah Daf Gimel is in the middle of analyzing the reasons that an egg born on Yom Tov should be forbidden. Why is it aser? We've already seen two opinions in the Amaram. We're going to see two more. The Gemara is then going to compare the opinions to each other and see why those who said one way did not want to say the other ones. The Gemara will introduce a Mishnah there with a contradiction between two opinions of Rabbi Yehuda and the Mishnah. We'll take a brief detour to analyze that contradiction and give a couple of answers to it, and then we'll go back to the opinions as to why an egg born on Yom Tov is aser. We'll have a kasha on some of the opinions and try a couple of attempts at resolving it, which will continue into the next stuff. So first of all, we've been discussing an egg which is born on Yom Tov. We have our lacha in our Mishnah that said it's a machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. The Gemara wants to know what is the reason that it should be aser. According to those that aser it, Beis Hillel says that it's aser. What is the reason that an egg born on Yom Tov should be aser? So we've seen two opinions in the Amaram already. We've seen the opinion of Rav Nachman that we were talking about an egg born from a chicken that is raised to lay eggs and therefore it's muktzah. We've seen the opinion of Rabbah that it was that it's Yom Tov that was on a Sunday and therefore this egg was formed on Shabbos and it's aser because it's eino muchan. It wasn't ready before the time of Kedusha, Shabbos or Yom Tov together. Now we're going to see two new opinions. Rabbi Yosef says the issue here is that an egg which is laid on Yom Tov is like a fruit which fell off a tree on Yom Tov. And just like it is forbidden to eat a fruit which fell off a tree on Yom Tov, it's forbidden to eat an egg which is born from a chicken. A very similar answer to that is Rabbi Yitzchak, who says that it's like juice which flowed out of a fruit. Not a fruit on a tree, but a fruit in a basket. You're not allowed to squeeze fruits. And if a juice flowed out of a fruit by itself on Yom Tov, the halacha is that it is also for the duration of Yom Tov. Which is similar to that. An egg which comes out of a chicken is like juice which flows out of a fruit, and it's forbidden on Yom Tov. The Gemara says Abaye asks the same kasha on both of them. He says that what is the reason that it's forbidden to eat fruits which fell off a tree or juice which flowed out of a fruit? Because of Xera, we're afraid you're going to go pick the fruit off the tree or squeeze the juice out of the fruit, which would be to isurim. Now, that itself is a issue-wise that aser on Yom Tov, it should be considered ochel nefesh, should be for food. That's a major machlokes rishonim, but it's not our topic for now. But it says Abaya, those are all just aser as a gzeira derabanan. Why do you make gzeira to a gzeira? You make another decree to forbid the egg, because if you allow the egg, then people will end up eating the fruit that fell off the tree or drinking the juice, and if they do that, then they'll end up squeezing the fruit for its juice or picking a fruit off a tree. We don't do gzeira on a gzeira to protect something which itself is just a gzeira. So says, no, it was all part of the gzeira. When they made the gzeira to forbid things which fell off trees or things which, or juice which came out of it, fruits, the language of the gzeira was broad and it included eggs. According to Rav Yosef, the language of the gzeira was broad and we said things which detach, things which come off their place of growth, which includes both fruits from trees and eggs from chickens. And according to Rav Yitzchak, the language of the Gzeira was broad, and it said anything which comes out of something else is forbidden, including juice out of fruits and eggs out of chickens. Now the Gemara wants to know these four opinions. Why don't they say like each other? What do they each have against the other ones? So the Gemara says they all didn't like Rav Nachman, like we asked the kasha on Rav Nachman. If we're talking about an egg-laying chicken, the chicken itself is muktzah. Why do we have to talk about the egg being muktzah? Talk about the chicken being muktzah. According to Rabbah's approach, which was that it's not muchan, it's not prepared, these Amaram didn't want to say the way because they don't hold this whole concept of muchan. It has to be ready before Shabbos and Yom Tov is Rabbah's chiddush. They didn't hold of it. The question though is, why did Rabbi Yitzchak not say like Rav Yosef? Rabbi Yosef not say like Rav Yitzchak. One says that it's like a fruit fell off a tree. One says it's like juice came out of a fruit. Why didn't they say the other ones? So the Gemara says an egg coming out of a chicken is questionable. Is it more comparable to a fruit or is it more comparable to juice? On the one hand, it's more comparable to fruit because it's a solid piece. It's a piece of food. It's like a fruit. It's a little round fruit. It's the fruit of the chicken, like the fruit itself is the fruit of the tree. It's not juice. Juice is a liquid. Now, Rav Yitzchak, though, said no, and it's far more comparable to juice, because juice comes out from inside the fruit. It is drawn forth from within. And the egg is drawn forth from within the chicken, and therefore it's like the chicken itself. Okay, now the Gemara brings in Rav Yochanan. The Gemara wants to prove that Rav Yochanan agrees that eggs are comparable to juice coming out of a fruit. In order to do this, the Gemara is going to quote a kasha that Rav Yochanan asked and an answer that he gave, where he had a contradiction between two statements of Rav Yehuda. Now, the two statements of Rav Yehuda, one will be talking about juice coming out of a fruit, and one will be talking about an egg coming out of a chicken. And since Rav Yochanan asked a contradiction, he compares the two. Obviously, he holds that they are the same case, and he gave an answer which did not argue with that comparison. Therefore, he holds that the two are comparable, and he would hold like Rabbi Yitzchak that you should compare eggs being born on Yom Tov to juice coming out of fruits. What are the two statements of Rabbi Yehuda that he contradicted? So the first is talking about juice which comes out of a fruit, and we have the entire Mishnah quoted. It's a Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. What is halacha about juice that comes out of a fruit on Yom Tov? So the Mishnah says as follows: you're not allowed to squeeze juice out of a fruit if it's squeezed by itself. The Chachamim say it's aser, and Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter. So Rabbi Yehuda says juice which flowed out of a fruit is mutter. However, as far as eggs, Rabbi Yehuda says the following thing. He says if you have an egg which is born on Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah, so if it's born on the first day of Yom Tov, you're only allowed to eat it on the second day of Yom Tov. The first day, you're not allowed to eat it. Now, the reason you're allowed to eat it on the second day is because Rabbi Yehuda holds that Rosh Hashanah is only one day, and therefore one of the 2 days is Yom Tov, one is not. So if it's born on the first day, so you can't eat it the first day because it might be Yom Tov. You could eat it the second day though, because if the first day was Yom Tov, the second day is not Yom Tov anymore, and there's no Isser. And if the second day is Yom Tov, the first day wasn't Yom Tov, and it wasn't born on Yom Tov. So either way, you could eat it the second day. But the implication is clear that you can't eat it on the first day, according to Rav Yehuda. So the kasha Rav Yochanan asks is, why not? How come you're allowed to eat the juice which came out of a fruit, but you're not allowed to eat egg which came out of a chicken on the first day of Yom Tov? Now, from the fact, again, that he compares juice to eggs, shows that those two are comparable. That is, Rav Yochanan compares Rav Yehuda's statement of juice to eggs, shows that the two are comparable. Now, this is not just semantics over here, he's comparing the two. The halacha should be that there is no contradiction according to Rav Yosef, because what's the problem? The reason that Rav Yehuda says that you're allowed to squeeze, that you're allowed to eat the juice that comes out of the fruit, is because he says we're talking about a fruit which was set aside to be eaten, and you didn't want the juice to squeeze out. If it was a fruit that was meant to be squeezed, we would say that it's usher to drink that juice. And the reason is because we are afraid, we have exer, you may come to squeeze it. You'll drink that delicious juice that's squeezed out, and you'll be inspired to go squeeze the rest of the fruit. After all, it's a fruit which was set aside for squeezing anyway. However, Rabbi Yehuda says that if you're meaning to eat that fruit, unlikely that that's going to happen. So Rabbi Yochanan's kasha is, so you see that he says juice which comes out of a fruit that was really food, it was meant to be eaten. So unlikely you're going to squeeze that, so then why should it be a problem to eat an egg which comes out of a chicken? It's unlikely you're going to go squeeze the chicken to pop out another egg. As a matter of fact, it's impossible you're going to squeeze the chicken to pop out another egg. Why is Rabbi Yehuda answering this? You should say it is permitted for the same reason. You can't squeeze it out. But he is answering it. So you see, therefore, that Rabbi Yochanan is considering egg to be like juice. He's comparing the two, and he's saying that it is the same. If it was Rav Yosef, he would view it as being food. It wouldn't be an isser at all. It would not be a kasha at all. You would say two different things. Juice, we have a concern, and food, there's no concern. Okay, so Rav Yochanan's answer. Okay, so we have established the point that we wanted to make, and that is that Rav Yochanan holds that eggs, like Rav Yitzchak, count as juice from a fruit. So now, what are the answers to this contradiction between Rav Yehuda's two halachos? So Rav Yochanan's answer was you have to change the opinion, you have to flip Rav Yehuda and the Chachamim. In the case of the juice, Rav Yehuda is really the one who said that the juice that comes out of the fruit is aser. The Gemara gives two more answers. One is Ravina. Ravina says you don't have to switch it, and really Rav Yehuda holds that the egg that comes out of the chicken is mutter, just like the juice that comes out of a fruit set aside for eating is mutter. The egg that comes out of the chicken is also mutter, even on the first day of Yom Tov. Your question is, why did he say that it's mutter on the second day of Yom Tov if it's mutter the first day also? The answer is because he was making a point to the Chachamim. He's saying, Chachamim, you argue with me, I know you argue with me. You disagree. You hold that it's also the first day for sure because it's just like juice that comes out of a fruit, even though it's set aside for eating. You make Xera here too. You're going to make Xera also. Fine. You argue with me. I got that. I would say that it's mutter even on the first day. However, my point is that why do you have a problem the second day? You should say second day it's for sure not usher because it can't be Yom Tov, both the first day and the second day, it's either one or the other, and therefore if the first day was Yom Tov, it's mutter now because it's the second day, it's not Yom Tov anymore, and if the second day was Yom Tov, then it was born on a weekday. And on that, the Chachamim answer, this is Rosh Hashanah we're talking about over here, and Rosh Hashanah is 2 days of Vada Yom Tov. There's no Sfeika D'Yoma on Rosh Hashanah. Now, that was Ravina's explanation to answer the stira. Now the Gemara brings Ravina Breder Avu'ula, different person, who says that this is a whole different reason over here. Rabbi Yehuda says it's usher here not because we're afraid you're going to squeeze eggs. It's not because it's compared to juice. The problem here with the egg is that it's muktzah. And Rabbi Yehuda is referring to an chicken that's being raised as an egg-laying chicken. The egg is muktzah. It's Rabbi Yehuda is, according to his own opinion, that takes a strict approach to muktzah, and therefore this is also because it's a muktzah. It's got nothing to do with juice at all. Okay, now the Gemara are going to ask a kasha on the various different approaches as to why an egg that's laid on Yom Tov is asur, as we've seen 4 approaches. The Gemara has a kasha. The Gemara brings a Mishnah which teaches us 4 halachos about an egg that's born on Shabbos or Yom Tov, and one of those halachos is that it is usur if it is a suffix. Now, if it's a suffix, you're not sure if it was born on Shabbos or Yom Tov or not. So that would make sense that it should be usur if the potential problem was an isur d'oraisa, suffix d'oraisa. We go l'chumra. However, if the potential problem is an isur d'rabbanan, we have a kasha is that it shouldn't be usur in the case of suffix. Now, of the 4 approaches we've seen, only Rabbah is definitely d'oraisa. Rabbah said it's ein muchan, has to be prepared before Shabbos. He quoted a pasuk v'achinu asher yaviu, has to be ready before Shabbos, before Yom Tov. So according to Rabbah, this makes a lot of sense. The Gemara does not mention Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman spoke about muktzah. There's some discussion as to whether muktzah, at least the concept of ein muchan for muktzah, as to whether that's d'oraisa or d'rabbanan. The Gemara doesn't mention that. If Yosef and Rav Yitzchak, though, they clearly hold that it is d'rabbanan. So according to them, we have a kasha. Why is this usur if it's a suffix? Well, let's see the Mishnah in full. It has 5 halachos about an egg that's born on Shabbos or Yom Tov. It doesn't specify that's what it's talking about all the way through, but it says as follows: an egg born on Shabbos and Yom Tov, you're not allowed to use it. You can't move it. You cannot use it to cover up a kli that it fits neatly in the hole as a bottle stopper. You can't use it to hold up the bed. The egg is very strong. If you stand it up on its point, it could be used to lift up a bed. You could use it, you could cover it with a kli so that it doesn't break. That's a chiddush because generally there's a machlokes as to whether you're allowed to use a kli to protect a muktzah object or not. So this Mishnah says that you could. The one who says that it's also would say that you were holding the kli in your hand already for other reasons. Now, the 4th halacha is that if it's a suffix, it's usur, and that's where we got our kasha from, as we said earlier. And the 5th halacha is that if it's mixed in with 1,000 other eggs, all the eggs are usur. You don't say bittul barov. You don't say that this egg is batal in the other mutter eggs. Okay, so the Gemara asks a kasha. It makes sense according to Rabbah. It doesn't make sense according to Rav Yosef and Rav Yitzchak. The Gemara answers, when we say that if it's a suffix, it's usur, we're not talking about an egg that's born on Shabbos or Yom Tov anymore. We're only talking about an egg of isur. We started off referring to an egg that was born on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Then we went to general egg of isur, an egg which is a suffix if the chicken that it's born from was treif or not. Let's say I had 2 chickens which laid eggs. One was treif, one was kosher. The halacha is that an egg that's born from a non-kosher animal, a non-kosher chicken, whether it's because it's treif or any other reason, is not kosher. So the egg that was laid from the non-kosher chicken is a treif. So if I have, let's say, 1 egg, I don't know if it came from a kosher chicken or a non-kosher chicken, the egg is suffix isur. So The Gemara here says Safek Isu L'Chumra, and that's definitely a Safek Deraisa, but it's not referring to our issue, which is the issue of an egg which is born on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So Gemara says it can be, because remember that was the fourth halacha in the Mishnah. The fifth halacha is that if it's mixed into other eggs, it is aser, it is not batel. So Gemara says, why would it not be batel? What would be the reason that it's batel? If we're talking about an egg that's born on Shabbos Yom Tov, I understand. There's a rule that dvarim sheyesh lahem matirin is never batel. That is, something which is going to become mutter at some point in the future is not batel when it's mixed into other things, because why eat it when it's mixed in? Because it's batel. Wait until it becomes mutter for sure, and then you could eat them all. Now this egg, after Yom Tov is over, after Shabbos is over, is mutter, and therefore I would understand why it's not batel. However, according to you that it's talking about a safek treifa, it's never going to become any better. It should be mutter because its batel should be mixed into other eggs. It should be okay. So the Gemara wants to answer maybe the reason that it's not batel is because it's a davar shebeminyan. It's something which is considered to be important. It's considered to be significant, and you could tell something is considered to be significant because people sell it by count. They don't sell it by weight. They don't estimate a large amount by weight. They sell it an individual number of eggs. 2 eggs, 5 eggs, a dozen eggs, 18 eggs, 30 eggs. You sell it by number. That's a chashivas. So Gemara says not so fast. There are a couple of opinions as to how the manner of say the way that you sell something by number, does that make it chashav enough that it's not batel or not? And there are 2 opinions. One opinion is that of Rabbi Kiva and the Chachamim, that there are only 7 things that are chashav enough to not be batel because of their chashivas. The other opinion is the opinion of Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir, we have a question, what he said exactly. It's a machlokas amarim what he said. According to one version, it'll include eggs. According to one version, it'll exclude eggs. The Gemara shows us the Beitzah. Beitzah discusses somebody who has bundles of tilson, which is a herb called a fenugreek, and these are kilayim. They were grown in a vineyard, and therefore they're kilayim. So you have to burn them up. If it's mixed in with other plants, other fenugreeks, so you have to burn them all according to Rabbi Meir, and the Chachamim say they are batel. Now the Chachamim and Rabbi Akiva, the Gemara, the Mishnah explains as follows: Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim hold that they are batel because the only things that are not batel because they are too important, too chashuv, are 6 or 7 special plants, and these are the list: walnuts from perech, pomegranates from ba'adon, sealed barrels of wine, leaves of beets, stalks of cabbage, Eretz Yisrael, Greek pumpkins, and according to Rabbi Kiva, also loaves of bread made at home. These are the only things that are chashuv enough. Now, that's their opinion, and therefore, according to them, these fenugreeks are batel. According to Rabbi Meir, it's not batel, and his line is a machlokes between Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish, what he said exactly. Either it's es shadarkei limnais or kol shadarkei limnais. That which is sold by counting, or anything which is sold by counting. If he said anything which is sold by counting, then all it takes is that some people out there sell it by number, and then it's considered chashuv. That would include eggs. There are people in some places that sell eggs by number. According to the other, though, it was the things which people sell by number, which means the things that everybody sells by number. Not things which some people sell by number, but things that everybody sells by number, which are not too many things, and eggs are excluded. So according to that opinion, then, which is Rabbi Yochanan, so eggs would be excluded. You would not have an explanation as to why the eggs are not batel, and therefore we're back to our kasha. The eggs shouldn't be batel because they're counting. The eggs shouldn't be batel according to you that they're treif because of davar yeshel matirin. So what then is the reason that they are not going to be batel over here? So the Gemara says, I'll tell you, and that is that there's a third opinion of the Tanaim. You had the machlokes Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish, is what Rabbi Meir said. You had the Chachamim and Rabbi Akiva. The third opinion holds that anything which is counted by anyone, anywhere, clearly this opinion holds not subject to a dispute as to what he means. Anything is not batal if it's counted anywhere. And the Gemara quotes a Beitzah at length about pressed figs, cakes of pressed figs, that shows that they are not batal because they are sold by counting by some people somewhere. We'll get deeper into the Beitzah, which is a longer discussion for Daf.
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethedaf@gmail.com.